Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 55 of Be With Me. We're on a chariot. We're going from Israel south on our way to Ethiopia with a eunuch, a court official of Candace, the queen of Ethiopia. We're with Philip, the first missionary, if you will, first guy who goes to Samaria, and now he finds himself south of Israel in a chariot explaining the gospel to the eunuch. Here's the story. The eunuch says to Philip, "About whom, I ask, does the prophet say this, about himself or someone else?" He's asking a question about Isaiah, the book of Isaiah. There's a character in Isaiah that's sort of from the future, and they're in the future now, 700 years later. So it's a great question about Jesus. Verse 36, this is from Acts chapter 8, verse 36. And as they were going along the road, verse 35, then Philip opened his mouth, and beginning with this scripture, he told them the good news about Jesus. Verse 36, and as they were going along the road, they came to some water, and the eunuch said, "See, here is water. What prevents me from being baptized?" Another great question. And he commanded the chariot to stop, and they both went down into the water, Philip and the eunuch, and he baptized him. And when they came up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord carried Philip away, and back to Israel, basically. And the eunuch saw him no more and went on his way rejoicing. But Philip found himself at Azotus. As he passed through, he preached the gospel to all the towns until he came to Caesarea. So those are a town 33 miles just west of Jerusalem. And then Caesarea is about 50 or so miles north of that on the coast as well. So Philip continues his missionary journey. All right, so yesterday we learned about the two worlds colliding in a spiritual world and a physical world, and you might just have a few questions about it, and so, appropriately so, the eunuch does. So there are questions typically tied with real belief. To believe something, you probably have to wonder about it first. And this explanation of Scripture and about Jesus starts in 700 BC because it says that he starts with that particular Scripture. He tells them the good news about Jesus. And here's the amazing thing is he has 100 days to do it. It's a 100-day trip from Israel, where he met him, to down in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, along the Red Sea. I don't know what day this guy becomes a believer. He has plenty of time. Could be on day 1, could be on day 99. They're being transported by a chariot. Apparently there's a driver and at least the two of them, or maybe more. But I'm curious, and the Scripture doesn't tell us, what day did he become a believer and want to be baptized? What would you say if someone said, "Hey, can you explain the gospel with me? And I'm going to have you start with the book of Isaiah." Would you go back to creation? Would you go back to Genesis? Would you go back to Psalm 23 and David? Would you go back to Moses and the Exodus? Well, in Luke chapter 24, essentially the same kind of scenario happens where Jesus meets up with two guys on the road to Emmaus. It's right after the resurrection. And there, Jesus does the same thing and explains the Scriptures. And it says in Luke chapter 24, verse 27, and beginning with Moses and all the prophets, not some of the prophets, all the prophets, he interpreted to them in all the Scriptures the things concerning himself. That is, in all the prophets, in all the books of the Bible, there's something to know about Jesus. I think that's pretty fascinating. So the first thing to know is that in this particular podcast, number one, is that Jesus is in every Old Testament book. The second thing to learn is that there's good news about Jesus, and that's what this eunuch gets explained to him. The third thing to obey or the third thing to know is that first thing to obey is baptism. So baptism marks this eunuch's belief. It marks the belief contemporaneously. It marks the belief publicly. We know there's one other guy there because there's at least a driver that was commanded to stop. We know that baptism marks belief willfully, and one of the reasons that it's public is that it marks belief illustratively. The best illustration of Jesus dying and bearing, in other words, when you go down into the water, it's not all over. They don't drown you there. They have you come back up. So you come out. You come out of a life of sin. You come out of a penalty for sin, which is death. So after faith, after belief, it's this identification. Baptism is the answer for and the illustration of what will I do regarding my sin? And what will I do regarding my death? It's such an attractive thing that the Ethiopian, after he understands it, he begs for it. I think I might title today, Begging for Baptism. Here's water. So they're in the desert, and when they find water, he says, hey, here's water, let's do it. All right, so the things to know today. Number one, that Jesus is in every Old Testament book. Number two, that there's good news about Jesus, about his answer for death, about his answer for sin. And then finally, the first thing to obey, if you are a believer, is baptism. And so if you're a new, medium, or old believer and you haven't been baptized as a believer, my encouragement charge would be to get to it. I want you to beg for it. Go get baptized today, illustratively, willfully, publicly, and hopefully contemporaneously with your belief. And I'll see you tomorrow, Lord willing. Thanks for listening.